define luxury very differently, right? It means different things to different people. And when we now talk about that in relation to luxury fashion, that could mean everything from a unique, pampered, in-person shopping experience. It could mean a memorable, experiential packaging moment or unboxing. It could mean customer service that goes above and beyond. Exceptional quality, rarity, okay, hard to get pieces. There is a big range of what luxury is and can be to different people. But one thing I think we can all agree on is that queuing, or being in a line, if you're American, is the furthest thing from a luxury experience. Guys, if you are new here, my name is Cassie and I'm a self-diagnosed luxury addict. I put out videos on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so if you like luxury fashion, then you're probably going to love it here. So head down there, subscribe, turn on the bell, become a member of our luxury addicted family. When are we going to rehab? Never. I also have a podcast, check it out. So, over the weekend, Business of Fashion came out with an article that sparked me doing this video idea, which was all about the fact that queuing is not a luxury experience in the slightest. Now, prior to the pandemic, queuing at and for luxury shops was very much a sort of seasonal thing. Like, you would expect that to happen around Christmas time at really like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, right? It was not that much of like a widespread thing that it is now. Now, and by the way, I'm just talking from my experience of like London, New York, and like anywhere else that I've sort of been since the pandemic, right? But now you can expect to see queues regularly outside, yes, your Chanel, your Louis Vuitton, but your Gucci, your Dior, all of the heavy hitters. And that is regardless of if you know what you want, whether you just want to have a look, like, oh, I don't have anything in mind, I just sort of want to see what's new, whether you wanted to browse to look at a gift for somebody or whatever, or whether you did need help. Everybody, you go to the front, there is, you know, usually a person there with an iPad. Okay, great, let me take your name down and join the queue. Much like I remember doing outside of a club when I was like 18, all right? Join the sodding queue. Like the rest of us, I don't care what sort of guest list you're on, you're not getting in until it's your turn. Now, unlike a London nightclub, if you have an SA, you can sort of circumvent this process. So if there's somebody that you know, are in contact with, you can say, hello, I'd like to make an appointment, I'd like to come in, blah, 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 okay? Then fair enough, you might be able to sort of just go to the front and yes, I've got an appointment with Sue, and they're like, great, off you go, go and find her. But if you don't have that, and if you've been queuing and then you eventually get inside, you get assigned somebody. It's not just like, okay, great, capacity has opened up so we can have X number of people in the store, off you go, and when you need help, go and grab somebody. Usually now you are assigned somebody as your sort of shopping buddy, and you know, there are times when it's happened to me and it's like, you know, you're breathing down my neck, I just wanted to come and have a squiz, okay? I just wanted to come, you know, exercise my eyes a bit, see what's new, you know, not necessarily with any intention to purchase something or whatever. Like, I was just out here trying to have a leisurely little moment. And when you've kind of got somebody that's there like, and is there anything I can help you with today, as lovely as some of the essays can be, it's almost like, okay, actually, I'm all right. I'm fine. I will browse online to my heart's content. It can be a bit awkward. And look, this is not all, you know, sales associates. Some of them will be like, great, you grab me when you're ready. But most of the time, they're there, ready for you. According to the Business of Fashion article that I am referencing, they sort of assign you an essay for two reasons, really. Number one is so that they can give you the best sort of shopping experience, which, in my opinion, that is not the best shopping experience. Like, I don't need somebody assigned to me. I just want, just like, let me grab when I want to grab, you know? Otherwise, just let me live. Let me live. There's less pressure. I don't feel inclined like I have to leave here with something, you know, sort of thing. And also, it adds to the intimidation. A lot of people are intimidated by going into luxury stores, and this adds to it, okay? It's a bit, anyway, so there's that. The other reason is that there have been an uptick in shoplifting incidents, and this is to sort of curb that as well. Fine. I was trying to think of something else that they might be able to do, but I mean, I don't know. And like I mentioned, half of the time, this drives me elsewhere. This drives me online. This drives me to a department store, maybe, where, like, everything's more at... This is, like, most of the time when I tend to do shopping vlogs, aside from the fact that I usually get told off if I do it in a store. So let's say, like, I walk into a Saint Laurent store, the dedicated stores, like, have a bit of a problem with the filming, but if I do it in a department store, nobody really cares. So a sort of similar thing. A department store tends to be a lot more sort of casual about browsing and whatever, and also just to the sort of nature of them. And this isn't aside from the fact that queuing, being in that queue for, I mean, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10, it could be 15 minutes, all of that, it could be even longer. That's a waste of time. It's not a luxury experience in the slightest to be stood out there, I don't care what weather conditions. It's either absolutely glaringly hot and you're like, here I am, being beaten down by the wrath of the sun, while I'm here waiting for the pleasure, waiting for the opportunity to hand over my card. Or it's freezing and you're like, great, here I am, going to catch hypothermia and whatever else from shaking out here, you know, being open to the elements. Or it's raining. I mean, nobody wants to be outside in the rain, full stop. Nobody enjoys that, I don't care what you say, everybody wants to be inside, all right? And I've seen this happen in London. The last time I went to Paris, there were queues everywhere. Usually in New York, the queues are less so, but the most I've seen them is like usually outside of Chanel. And actually, do you want to know what? I've seen like little, in Soho, at the standalone stores, you'll see like a little, sometimes 1 or 2 people will be outside of like a Loewe or a Fendi or something like that. It's like, oh yes, let me wait in the elements so that I can come in and be bestowed with the honour of spending my money at your establishment. You know, it's just, it is ridiculous. Now, whilst we're on the topic of, you know, like, luxury shopping, is it still luxurious? You cannot talk about this topic and not talk about quality. This is something that keeps cropping up during conversations that we have about luxury items, and I don't want to dwell too much on Chanel, especially the bags. We know that there's been, I mean, you can go on YouTube and you can type in Chanel quality issues. You've got enough videos to last you until the end of the year, right? We've seen this. But what was quite interesting is I was on Instagram this week. Actually, Christian sent me these stories on Instagram. London girl in NYC. She is like fashionista #1, but that's by the by. She posted a couple of stories about the fact that she had this pair of Chanel shoes that she loved, but they would only last a season. One singular season. You're telling me a pair of shoes that, like, I mean, I don't know if this was like a 2017 purchase, but let's say at the very, like, at the least, they were what? $600 at the least. You're telling me that I need to buy them every season? Absolutely not. This is not like, you know, you're meant to go to luxury for quality that will last you, right? Anyway, and I think that she went to sort of complain in store, sort of tell them about this issue, and they basically, because she used to wear them like day in, day out, and they basically said that, you know, Chanel shoes are meant to be worn daily. They are for the woman that has options, right? Which is backed up on their website, which is like, oh, to prolong the quality and the life of your purchase, don't use it every day. Which is a bit ridiculous. Yes, it is. I mean, and then you've got something like, well, we're on the topic of shoes, Amina Muaddi, for the first how many years of her brand coming out, it was like Amina Muaddi quality issues. I think now they've sort of, I think she changed factory, things have straightened out a bit, to my knowledge. I mean, I've only had one quality issue with one of the shoes. It's not great. It's not great. You're spending hundreds of pounds, dollars, euros, whatever, on these pieces, and the least you can ask of them is to sod and do your job, you know? Also, gosh, luxury shoes seems to be a whole thing. Amelia Petrarca, I paid her Substack newsletter, and in one of her newsletters she was talking about this particular pair of the Row Mary Jane flats that she'd bought, and they, after a 1.3 mile walk around Brooklyn, they were like within an inch of their lives. She ended up selling them, but like they were so sort of scuffed and beaten up looking after that one walk at 1.3 miles. Like, this isn't a marathon, okay? I'm not trekking up the side of Kilimanjaro in these things. I would hope at the very least you might be able to survive a 1.3 mile walk around Brooklyn. And then sort of as part of that, she also mentioned that, you know, she came across somebody else who had bought a pair of the Row flip-flops, and the sort of prong that goes in between the toes, just the whole thing sort of came out. It's like, that's never happened to my Havianas, you know? And of course, this isn't all of the shoes that this happens to, and there are, you know, the odd thing that falls through the cracks in quality issues and whatnot, right? But it is something that you expect to hear a lot less of when it comes to luxury. Customer service, again, while we're here, is also inconsistent, you know, between brands, between sales associates. This is the other thing, as in, 9 times out of 10, and I kind of hate that this is the reality, and I'll go into why, but 9 times out of 10, if you've got an issue with something and you work with an SA, or you go to the same SA every time, and you say, right, this is the issue, blah, 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 it will be like fixed for you, or they'll give you a replacement, or you'll get a refund or whatever, okay? The customer service situation is pretty positive. But then if you're like a one-time transactional customer and you get a sales associate that's like not feeling it that day, then good luck to you, you know? And I hate that kind of inconsistency because, again, this puts people off. This lives up to that sort of intimidation around luxury shopping. Whereas it should just be, and I might be the naive one, you know, everything end to end should be, you know, a pleasure and all of that. We're coming here and spending a lot of money, and even with all of these price increases and everything, right? We keep sodding crawling back, and, you know, you just want to have that really special experience. And I'm not saying that those experiences don't exist, because I'm sure that actually, of everything I'm talking about, the majority of the time, you know, you're going to have a great experience. But it's been a bit wishy-washy. I will say a really good customer experience that I had recently was, well, it's sort of like half and half. You know, I love Rimowa. I love Rimowa cases, blah, blah, blah. I had the Trunk Plus that was cracking. I always get the plastic ones because I think you can shove more in there than the metals. The metals as well can be bent out of shape, so you need to keep going in for them to reshape it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. So I always get the plastic ones, and clearly, I had been really maxing out my luggage allowance because it had cracked where the handle is. Anyway, I took it into Rimowa, and basically they were like, give us a week, we're gonna talk to the, you know, sodding team in Germany or whatever and see what's the best way forward, because if it can be fixed, we'll fix it. If not, we're gonna give you a new bag. I get a phone call within a couple of days, like, yeah, it's unfixable, we're gonna give you a new bag, these are the colours available, what do you want? And I walked out with a brand new case, right? Which, again, there's a sort of like, well, it shouldn't be breaking in the first place, fine. But that was sort of the best case scenario with customer service. It was smooth, it was fast. You know, I was satisfied with the resolution. I felt like that was worth mentioning, but there does seem to be this disconnect between what is important to the customer and what the brands are sort of focusing on. Apparently Louis Vuitton is starting a Discord server, which is essentially, it's an app that's a bit like a chat room, but there's like different topics. They're sort of exploring ways that this can be valuable, for example, with maybe aftercare service of pieces or feedback to the team and all of that. Whether or not that will actually happen is a separate topic. But I just feel as though they listen to the customers a little bit more. And on top of that as well, you know, luxury's growth is slowing post-pandemic. You know, everybody's been reporting their financials and all of that business, and it's not going as well as it has been. And I think that now more than ever, they're not just going to be skating by doing the bare minimum. Okay, now is when they really need to work on the details, work on the experience, work on making luxury really feel luxurious, right? Really make it feel special. Because if you're going to put the prices up, there's a load of other emerging brands that are coming out with stuff that is half the time more creative and much more affordable. So you know, I feel like they need to be, I think that they really need to be stepping up to the plate a bit more. Let me know what you think. Let me know of your Q experiences as well. I'll be interested to hear. I'm going to leave a link to another video over here in case you haven't already seen it. Have an amazing morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. And in the words of my father,
if you've enjoyed it, tell your friends. If you haven't, keep your mouth shut.
I will see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye guys.